And we are joined now by the leader of the ACT Party, David Seymour. David, good morning to you. Good to have you back.
Yeah, good morning, Sean. Sorry about the logistics.
That's all right. Now, I understand, I just want to firstly check, were you shocked by yesterday's TVNZ Ryan poll result?
Not really. I mean, you've got a situation where people are hurting real bad up and down the country. Wherever I go into shops, they say business is down. You talk to people involved in things like family budgeting and counselling, things are tough. You talk to people at bigger businesses, they say, look, people are applying to cash up their leave. So, when you've got a really tough economic time, it's always hard for a government. And yet, I think if you take a step back, what we're facing is the hangover of a spendthrift government over the last 6 years that has influenced those economic conditions. Our government hasn't brought down its first budget yet. So, we hope that in time we will be judged on our economic
You only dropped 1 point, David, and despite the wishes of the press gallery, an election wasn't held yesterday. It didn't seem to me, to be honest, that shocking or that big a move. In fact, it was well within the margin of error.
Well, my comments are about the government overall. I think from the point of view of ACT, people will say, well, you're not as high as you were maybe a year ago. But you've got to remember that the last 2 years has been the highest level of support that ACT's had in its 30-year history. So in terms of the overall outlook for people who are sitting there saying, well, I want someone who'll stand up for the right to make a difference in my own life, regardless of my background. I don't want to be discriminated against, taxed and regulated up the wazoo. I just want to get on with it. I think ACT can make a claim to being effective in government and advancing those values. But, of course, there's a lot of stuff where people are saying, well, why hasn't all the crime stopped? Well, basically...
I've got to say, David, you have also been subjected to the most negative personal attacks in the mainstream news media. I mean, a school child says she's uncertain about you and it's front page news. You've been described as a dick. You've been spat towards. And mainstream media seem to delight in finding young New Zealanders who are prepared to personally attack you.
Yeah, they may be. I mean, to be honest, I hadn't noticed that much of it. The way I look at it, we've got, as a country, really serious problems. I mean, we want to be a first world country in an island paradise. And right now, that dream's in real danger. 47,000 net loss of citizens last year. People are voting with their feet. So, what some kid says or what some kid journalist thinks is news, to be honest, that's small beer. We're trying to sort out...
Are you calling Mikey Sherman a kid journalist, David?
Well, I didn't even know that she'd said that.
Oh, no, it wasn't Mikey. It wasn't Mikey. I just had breathless coverage of the poll last night. Well, let's move on to the issue we rang you up about, free speech. And what I think is a very disturbing, underneath it all, story emerging out of Victoria University, where a panel discussion on free speech has essentially been postponed. I would say it's never going to happen now. Because students have been making, and we interviewed the student leaders and the student journalists yesterday, been making pretty wild and unfounded allegations about the Free Speech Union and claiming, without any evidence, that they practice hate speech and they're a threat to the safety of students at Victoria University. We've had remarkable response to this story, though mainstream media aren't that interested. Do you think it's an important story?
Oh, well, it's absolutely an important story. If you look at ACT's weekly newsletter, Free Press, yesterday, it makes highly recommend subscribing, by the way, but it makes a number of points. One is that it's easy to say, look, this is universities, so what? The thing is that they shape cultures. So those journalists we were talking about before, where did they learn? Where were a lot of their views formed? University. The public servants, went through university, the law schools eventually feed the judiciary. So, so many of the things that people are concerned about today actually are influenced by the culture on universities. And what does this episode tell us about that culture? Well, I think the main thing about it is just the total lack of intellectual rigour. So, first of all, the claims they've made about the Free Speech Union, for example, are completely crazy. The same with the New Zealand Initiative. Their claims are untrue as far as I'm aware. What's more, they seem to use this term safety as if talking can actually be dangerous, and that's a total reversal of history. For most of history, people went around bashing each other with clubs and swords and muskets and guns and so on. Then we got to a stage where, for the most part, people work out their problems by talking. That was big progress. But the students on the university seem to think that even talking can now be unsafe. That's a real danger. That's backwards. And the idea that, even a discussion of free speech can now be cancelled. I mean, it sort of has a bit of a Bob Jones-esque satirical tinge to it. But in terms of what it means for our long-term culture, it's a real problem.
Yeah, look, I was also amazed yesterday that the student leader I spoke to said that Jonathan Ayling was guilty of hate speech because he protected, guilty of, was practising hate speech, so was the Free Speech Union, because they were prepared to protect or to defend the free speech rights of the Stop Co-Governance road tour run by Julian Batchelor. And it was absolutely a case of, we don't like Julian Batchelor's free speech, we think he's a racist. Jonathan Ayling supports his free speech, therefore Jonathan Ayling must be cancelled and is a racist and is a threat to the safety of students at the university. It was classic cancel culture logic, and of course that's not logical at all. Are you disappointed that the management of Victoria University are playing along with this stupidity?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, this is why ACT has a commitment in the government's coalition agreement to legislate that you can't get funding, or taxpayer funding anyway, for a tertiary institution unless you have a free speech policy. And of course we would stipulate that would be something like what they have at Chicago. It has to be a free speech policy that says we are going to allow people to speak so long as they are not inciting actual violence, so long as they are not in any way a nuisance or defamatory. There are traditional rules around speech, but you should be allowed to speak freely, especially on university campuses. You should not discriminate based on their political views, for example. And this whole thing about, Jonathan Ayling, defends hate speech. Well, just a second. I don't think, I've stood up for free speech for years and years when I've been in Parliament. I don't think I've ever defended anyone that I actually agreed with.